बेटा क्लास चलना। After meditation, let's begin with the class, the memorial lecture in the honor of beloved Gurudev through Guru Stuti. So let us come together. Let us bow down in the feet of Guru Parampara with invocation. अगाध संशयाम्बोधि समुतरण तारणिं वन्दे विचित्र्यार्थपदां चित्रां तां गुरुभारतीं तद अनुग्रह निग्रह गृहीतमुनि विग्रहो भगवान् सर्वासामुपनिषदां दुर्वासा जयति दैसिकः प्रथमः त्र्यम्बका विहित संतति ताम्रपर्णी सन्मौक्तिक प्रकर कांति विशेष भाजः पूर्वे जयन्ति गुरुवो गुरु शास्त्र सिंधु कल्लोल केली कलनामल कर्णधारा जयति गुरुरेक एव श्री श्रीकण्ठो भुवि प्रथितः तत्परमूर्तिर्भगवान् महेश्वरो भूतिराजश्च श्री सोमानंद बोध श्रीमत उत्पल विनिहश्रिताः जयन्ति संविदा आमोद संदर्भा दिक्प्रसर्पिणः तद आस्वाद भरावेश ब्रह्महितां मति षट्पदीं गुरुर्लक्ष्मण गुप्तस्य नाद सम्मोहिनीं नुमः सदा अभिनवगुप्तं यत्पुराणं च प्रसीदमता हृदयं तत्परो उल्लासय स्वयम् आस्फुरजे अनुत्तरम् अभिनवरूपा शक्तिः तद्गुप्तो यो महेश्वरो देवः तदुभययामलरूपम् अभिनवगुप्तं शिवं वन्दे यः पूर्णानन्दविश्रान्त सर्वशास्त्रार्थपारगः श्रीक्षेमराजहसो दृश्यादृष्टं मे गुरुतमः श्री वसुगुप्त महागुरु सोमानंद प्रभु उत्पलाचार्यन् अभिनवगुप्तं नाथं वन्दे श्रीक्षेमराजश्च नमो निखिल मालिन्य विलासपन पटियसे महामहेश्वराय श्री रामाय गुरुरमूर्तये जय गुरुदेव। नमः कारुण्य देहाय वीराय शुभदंतिने भक्ति गम्याय भक्तानां दुःखहर्त्रे ते नमस्तुते यस् उन्मेषनिमेषाभ्यां जगतः प्रलयोदयोः तं शक्ति चक्र विभं प्रभवं शङ्करमास्तु महा नमः शिवाय सततं पंचकृत्यविधायिने चिदानन्दघं स्वात्म परमार्थ अवभासिना आस्यानं चित्रस्योगं साकारत्वमुपागतम् जगद्रूपतया वन्दे प्रत्यक्षं भैरवं वपुः ओमानंद सुंदर पुरंदर मुक्त माल्यम मौलोहस्तेन निहितं महिषासुरस्य पादाम्बुजं भवतु मे विजयाय माजु माजिरसिंचित मनोहरम् अंबिकाया सहस्रीसा पुरुष पुनातु वः सहस्राक्षुर्भगवान् सहस्रपाता गले अंगी ग्रीनमूले नयने च निश्चला त्रयो अपायामि यमपुरुषा उपासते ॐ सन्नो मित्रः सन्वरुणः सन्नो भवते अर्यमा सन्नो इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः सन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मे नमस्ते वायु त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म असि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि रीतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मा अवतु तत्त्वाकारम् अवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ओम शांति 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 जय गुरुदेव हर हर महादेव let's begin with the memorial lecture. So can you put the slide please? So before starting, I'm just taking you to the brief flashback. There was last week gap actually. So in the previous lecture, the last lecture, we have just started to discuss the second chapter, beginning of Kashmir ShavismI. It's a historical evolution. The influence of Buddhism, the Tantric and the Agamic traditions, and the five powers of Shiva, and the foundational scriptures we have discussed in the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we saw that Kashmir ShavismI is not merely a devotional religion, but a profound philosophical system noted in the consciousness. So it's basically the philosophical study of the consciousness. That is the beauty of Kashmir ShavismI. So I'm taking this discussion forward. Today, the first slide, I'm presenting main branches of Kashmir ShavismI. So here, mainly three intellectual branches through which Kashmir ShavismI developed, we are going to introduce. And these branches do not represent separate religion. They are not separate at all. Rather, they are different philosophical approaches to understand the same ultimate reality. And that same ultimate reality is nothing other than Param Shiv, nothing other than absolute consciousness. There are so many roads to reach one destination. It's like that. So here revelation is for the first one, the Agamic tradition. The second is a Spanda school. And third one, Prativigya school. And together they form, Kram and Kola. They are also there. Together they form the intellectual foundation of Kashmir Savagism. So these are the intellectual foundation of Kashmir Savagism. When thinking about this study of consciousness under the framework of Kashmir Savagism, question arises in the mind. Why do philosophical schools arise? Why do philosophical schools arise within the same religious tradition? The religious tradition is one, the Trika, the Kashmir Savagism, but different philosophical schools are coming up. Why different schools are coming up? We should contemplate on this question. Because, where in academia or in research, we understood, like, in the first slide only, right now. So, like, different teacher got a different style. So different teacher emphasize different aspects, different approach. And second possibility, like, new questions arise over time. So answering those new questions, new approaches are coming. Third possible answer can be, philosophy develops through the dialogue and interpretation. When you start dialogue, Shastrat, when you start the interpretation, the commentaries, the logical discussion, when you start, then philosophical schools, many philosophical schools may arise within one framework. And over the time, like, even for example, Buddhism got the Theravada and the Mahayana, different schools. Within the Buddhism, Vedanta also, for example, Vedanta like Advaita Vedanta, Visishta Advaita Vedanta, Dvait. So in Vedanta also different philosophical approaches are there. So not only in the Tantric Shaivism or in Kasmir Shaivism, different philosophical schools are, but in Buddhism and Vedanta also. So likewise, Kasmir Shaivism developed different schools while maintaining the same central vision. And central vision in the Kasmir Shaivism is Shiva, the ultimate reality. That is central focus. Shiva is the focal point for any school of the Kasmir Shaivism, whether it is Armic tradition, Brahmakola, or it is Prativigya tradition, or it is Spanda school. But Shiva as the ultimate reality, that is the central focus. So let's touch upon one by one. Start with the Agam. Agam. So, the word, try to understand the word Agam. GuruDev is very beautifully giving this description through the Sanskrit root word. The Sanskrit word Agam means that which come down. So come down. From where come down? So it is from coming down from the supreme consciousness. Descending down. Para, Pasyanti, Madhyama, Vakari, we know the theory of speech. How the consciousness is descending. So Agam is that which come down. So it is coming from where? Coming from the super consciousness, coming from the absolute consciousness, coming from the Shiva. So what is coming from the Shiva? What is coming down from the Shiva? So it means it is a sacred revelation. So Agam means also we can understand it's a sacred revelation because Shiva is revealing out of compassion, out of anugrah. That is one of his panchakritya, which 5 acts. Anugrah is 5th act. So according to the Shaiva tradition, these teachings were revealed by Shiva and transmitted from Guru to Sishya. They are not regarded merely as a human composition. but a divine revelation. So the agams are divine revelation. The origin is divine. Origin is Shiva. That's why I used to say, like, Shiva is the source of knowledge, and Shiva is the only source of knowledge. You know, try to understand the first characteristics of the agamic tradition that is based on the revealed scriptures. And these scriptures, what these scriptures are discussing, they are discussing nature of Shiva, they are discussing the nature of Jiva, the nature of soul. They are discussing the cosmology. They are also talking about the charya, the temple worship. They are talking about the dhyan meditation, and they are talking about the Shiva yoga and ritual practice also. And then the focus is also on the liberation within the framework of the Saiva tradition. So unlike Vedas, which emphasizes sacrifice, yajna, the Saiva agams focus on the personal spiritual realization through rituals, through meditation, through initiation, because Guru Sishya Parampara, that's the central point. Ritual, yoga, and spiritual practice. So Agam tradition teaches that knowledge alone is not sufficient. That is, Gurudev is also, so many times is focusing on that. Knowledge alone is going to do nothing. So the spiritual progress requires disciplined practice, not merely the book is knowledge. And that disciplined practice, including the temple worship, the puja, the mantra recitation, japa, meditation, the dhyana, initiation, diksha, and the yogic discipline, the charya given by the guru to Sishya. So rituals are basically symbolic acts here. These are the symbolic acts designed to purify the mind and awaken the divine awareness. So the agams, agams, the agams also provide the theological and the philosophical frameworks for the lighter Shiva schools, because they are very, very beginning, the foundation, doctrinal foundation, you can say. Agams are explaining, agams are explaining, stop it. Agams are explaining who is Shiva, what is bondage, what is liberation, and what is the relationship between the individual soul and Shiva, the sambandh between Shiva and Jiva. Thus, the Agam tradition supplies the scriptural and the practical foundation for Kashmir ShavismI. They are giving you the doctrinal foundation. Now, I will focus very closely, very, briefly on Aspanda school. So let us start with the word spanda. The literal meaning of a spanda is vibration, is pulsation, is throb, is a dynamic movement. That is the spanda. But it does not refer to the ordinary physical vibration. Instead, it describes the subtle creative pulsation of the consciousness itself. That is the spanda. Acharya Mahamaheshwar Acharya Abhinav Guptapad Kinchit Chalanam, when describing the consciousness. That is the nature of the consciousness. So the doctrine of divine vibration is coming out in this school. So according to the Spanda school, ultimate reality is not static. Shiva is pure consciousness, but consciousness is creative and dynamic. So this dynamic creativity is called Spanda. And it is the subtle pulse through which the universe continuously manifests. So it means this school is claiming, this school is announcing reality is dynamic, unlike other systems that regard like a ultimate reality is a completely inactive. The Brahma of Vedanta, Niskriya, inactive, is not like here. Here in the Spanda school, that teaches us reality is always expressing itself. Everything in existence is an expression of this divine pulsation. That is the teaching of Saiva of Kasmir under the Spanda school boundary. Like giving you examples like thought arises, breath flows, universe expands, life evolves. So, here reality is expressing itself. These are all manifestations of the Spanda only. I can give you analogy. Like think of ocean. Think of ocean. And even when it appears calm, tiny movements continue beneath the surface. It looks like very calm from the top, but in the beneath, movements are happening. Similarly, the pure consciousness appears still. It contains an eternal creative vibration, and that vibration is a spanda. That is the definition of a spanda. So, consciousness continuously manifests itself. The universe is therefore not separate from Shiva. Because universe is expression. And universe is expression of whom? Universe is expression of the Shiva, because Shiva is the consciousness. So creation is the continuous self-expression of the divine consciousness. And this differs from the idea of a creator making an external world. Kashmir ShavismI rejects that idea. There was one external creator sitting somewhere and creating. No. Rejecting that. Where the creation is the continuous self-expression of divine consciousness. Shiva manifests the universe from within himself. ShavismI. So that is the teaching of this great school of Kashmir ShavismI, Spanda. Now, very briefly, just shedding light on another school, Prativigya school. And that is the most influential branch of Kashmir ShavismI, the Prativigya school, the top of the top. Let's start with the word. Literally, try to understand the word. Prativigya. Prativigya means recognition. Recognition. So, cognition, then again you are, cognizing something. So, more specific, it means, Prativigya means recognition of one's true identity. Recognition of one's true identity. So recognition, it means that cognition you lost, you forget. Vismriti happened. So again, the true nature, the true swarup, the true identity. Whose true identity? Your true identity that need to be recognized, and the framework is provided by the Prativigya school. That is Prativigya. Prativigya school is simply the foundation is recognition of one's true nature. So according to this school, the greatest human problem is not sin or not ignorance in the ordinary sense. It is the forgetfulness. That is very important because the all Abrahamic religions, they are based on the theory of sin. We are rejecting that. The other schools are talking about, the root cause of the human problem is the ignorance. We are rejecting that in the Prativigya school. We are saying this is not the problem. The root cause is the forgetfulness. You forget your true nature. Once you recognize your true nature, your problem, there is no problem at all. So, we have forgotten who we really are. The starting point. This is the starting point. We have really forgotten who we are. We forgotten our Swarup. We forgot the Sivoham. And this is school. This school will take you. This school will give you the path to recognize your true nature. We have forget what we are, and we mistaking, we are doing mistake. Identify ourselves with body. We are thinking this is our body. So this is Abhishek. No. Or we are thinking this mind. This is Abhishek. No. Then we are thinking sometimes it's ego. That is me. No. The personality, me. No. We are recognizing, we are identifying. We are just forgotten our true nature. We are thinking this body is I am. But the true identity, what is the true identity? Shiva himself is the true identity. Shiva himself is the Swarup. So the liberation, therefore, does not require becoming something new. Here, the concept of liberation is nothing like that. I have to become something new version. No, I am already Shiva, just forgotten. So liberation here requires recognizing what we have already always been. So here, the concept of liberation, the liberation is through recognition. This is the central doctrine. Unlike some philosophies that teach gradual transformation. Even in Kram, we are going like a step by step. But Prativigya emphasizes sudden recognition through the Kripa of Gurudev, through the blessings, grace of Gurudev, through the Sakti path of the Gurudev. You will be recognize yourself instantaneously. That is Prativigya. That is the Prativigya. I'm giving you one example. Imagine searching everywhere for your glasses. Let's imagine. Only to realize they were already on your head. Sometimes this is happening, The people who are wearing glasses, they put their glasses on their head and they're searching everywhere. Where is my glass? Where is my glass? Somebody tell us that there. So nothing new was gained. Only recognition occurred here. Similarly, a spiritual awakening is recognition of one's eternal identity with the Shiva. The same thing is happening in the Prativigya. Guru is saying, Guru is just saying, indicating, revealing your Sarup. So Prativigya places great emphasis on reflection. Great emphasis on the inquiry and great emphasis on self-awareness. It encourages the seeker, asking question, Koham, who I am. Ask this question. What is consciousness? What is Chetana? What is Chaitanya? Ask this question to yourself. And what is the source of experience? How you are perceiving things. There are three, Praman, Pramata, and Pramat. Known and knowledge. The triad model of the Trika. They become one. How perceiver is perceiving the knowledge. To think what is the source. Think what is the consciousness. Because it's all everything is a study of the consciousness here. And ask the question, who I am. Who encouraging this one. Summing up briefly here, Agama I started. So main emphasis of the Agamas is on the scripture, ritual, yoga, and initiation. Aspanda I told you, main emphasis was on the dynamic vibration of the consciousness. And Prativigya I told you, that is the main emphasis on recognition of one's identity with the Shiva. So Agama provides the practical foundation, and Aspanda explains the dynamic nature of the reality, and Prativigya offers the highest philosophical realization. So Prativigya is the highest philosophical realization of the reality, and together they create a spiritual system. So they are not separate religion; they are under the three ShavismI only. Kram and Kaul are also they're part of the Kasmir ShavismI. So in the Kram, Kali is being explained. Separate book Gurudev has written on Kram. So that's why here in this book, in this chapter, not much emphasis on that. And then Kaul also, the cooler, the totality. Siva is a akula. And then this all is a cooler. So I'm just, concluding this one. Although these schools differ in emphasis, differ in approaches, they all lead to the same realization. The individual soul is not separate from Shiva. Through practice, through insight and recognition, one awakens to one's true nature as divine consciousness. There are so many roads to reach one destination. All roads go to Rome. We used to say. So there are all schools. They are taking seeker to the one place, one point, that is Shiva. Let's start with the next slide. That's the classification of Agamas. So just we discussed main branches of Kashmir ShavismI. I took you through the Agam tradition, Spandai school, Prativigya school, touch upon the Krama, the Kola also. So we learned that the Agam tradition forms the scriptural foundation of the Kashmir ShavismI. So now we will examine together how the Agamas themselves are classified according to their philosophical outlook. Let's start with the categories. There are three categories: Ved, Veda Ved, and Aved. Dualistic, monodualistic, and non-dualistic. So these three categories reflects an evolution of the philosophical thinking rather than three unrelated traditions. That's very important to understand being a mature seeker. So that is evolution basically, from dual to monodual to non-dual. That's the evolution in your practice. It's not like that you are belonging to this part and that is superior. Non-dual is superior and dual is not superior. That is inferior. It's not like the inferior, moderate, and superior. Not like that. These are the three categories reflect an evolution of the philosophical thinking. That Gurudev is always putting a stress on that one. It's very important to understand. So now we have already discussed what is agamas, that which has come down. That's the agamas, and they are revealed by Shiva himself. Now, why this classification? The Shiva agamas are numerous. Cover a wide range of practices and doctrines. Over time, scholars, seekers recognize that they reflect different understandings of relationship between Shiva and Jiva and universe, Jagat. Three things. The Shiva, the reality, and then Jagat, and then Jiva. So what is the relationship? That relationship you need to understand. To make this diversity easier to understand, for understanding, they were grouped into three philosophical categories. And that three philosophical categories are dual, Veda, monodual, Veda, Ved, and then non-dual, Aved. So, Dvait, Dvaitadvait, and Advait. So, starting from the dualism to complete unity. So, starting with the dualism. So, when you start, so there is a two, you and your Ishta. There are two. When you go more deeper, then you feel, so you are just entering the Samavesa stage is coming. So there is the Veda Ved. Sometimes you immerse in your Ishta. So that is the Veda Ved, Dvaita Ved. Difference and non-difference. And then you go in a more deeper practice, then there is no seeker. Seeker become the Ishta. Sivoham, no difference, non-dual, Advait. That's why Gurudev is saying that's the evolution in the philosophical thinking. They are not separate. So starting with the dualism and then going to the complete unity. The first category, Bheda. Bhed, dual. The Sanskrit, in Sanskrit, Bhed means difference. Bhed means separate. Bhed means distinction. So in this case, Shiva is the Supreme Lord. An individual soul, the Jiva, is also real. An universe is also real. So the seeker, the Jiva, the Bhakt, is considering Jagat one thing, and then Shiva, the Supreme Lord, is one thing. The Bhed is happening here. So here the Shiva and the Jiva remain distinct. They are separated. So this school is teaching God is creator. Shiva is creator in Bhedavad. And human beings are dependent upon God. And liberation is achieved through the Shiva's grace. So this school is also based on grace. So the relationship is very similar here. Teacher and a student, guru and Sishya. King and subject, Raja and Praja, he is the king. And parent and child. So this is the relationship, this relationship between Bhakt and Bhagavan, this type of relationship. So the soul can approach Shiva, but never become identical with him. So in the practice of dualism, the subject, the soul, the jeev, the seeker, the bhakt cannot be Shiva, never be identical with the Shiva. So, the Shaiva Agamas, traditionally there are 10 Agamas, Shaiva Agamas, 10, the dual one. And, these texts are text emphasis on the ritual purity, temple worship, devotional practices, and the ethical discipline. A spiritual practice also, like the path, includes daily worship, daily puja, initiation, diksha is also there, jap is also there, and mantra, temple rituals are there. So these practices purify the individual and prepare the soul for to prepare the soul to receive the Shiva's grace. So that's a dual one, 10 in number, and through these practices, the seeker purify himself and prepare himself for Shiva's blessings, Shiva's grace. So these are the Bhedavad. These granthas are Bhed granthas. So here, the question arises, if the God and soul is remain separate, they remain separate, but forever they are separated, then what does liberation mean here? So here liberation is something different. What liberation we are talking in? We are practicing prativigya. In prativigya, you know the Swarup, you become the Shiva. Here the soul can never become Shiva. He will get the blessings of Shiva. That's it. And go to the Shivlok. You are okay? And then the second category is Veda Ved. Veda Ved is a dual, non-dual. The second level. Ved means difference and Aved means non-difference. So difference and unity coexist here. So the soul, the jiva, different from the Shiv in one sense, are yet in separation with the Shiva in another. Sometimes he feels, sometimes emerge into the Shiva, sometimes outward. So here in Kasmir ShavismI, Vishrant, he is in the Vishranti and in Samaves. In Samaves, he is the Shiva, and in Vishranti, he is Shiva. So this is the middle position basically. Middle position between the complete dualism and complete non-dualism. Complete dualism, there is Shiva and Jiva is distinct, and complete non-dualism, Shiva and Jiva is one. And this is the middle path. You understand? I can give you one analogy for better understanding. Let's understand the analogy of the fire and a spark. Fire and a spark. So a spark comes from the fire. A spark, you are doing something to a spark come from the fire. So it has same nature as fire, yet it is not entirely fire. It's okay. So the individual soul originates from Shiva. It shares divine nature, but it still experiences individuality. He is Shiva, but he feels, no, I am this. I am Abhishek. But he is Shiva. So sometimes, you know, Here it originates a spark, it has come from the same fire, same thing, but not entirely fire. That is the middle path, basically. So we call it Rudraagamas. Rudraagamas, they are 18 in number. They are 18 in number, and this philosophical approach is represented by the texts, and those texts emphasizes on meditation, internal worship, yoga, and philosophical reflection. So they provide basically bridge between the ritual religion and the higher metaphysics. Because the metaphysics is there, metaphysics will come when Vairavagam will come, when Trika is coming. Trika is not came yet. Don't do that. Go. So here, Vedaved is important, very important, what I feel, what I believe, because it's a transitional philosophy. Transitional philosophy. It helps a student, the seeker, serious students, to understand how Indian thought gradually moves towards non-dualism. So when you understand things in a whole, holistic manner, then full clarity, the Bodh Gyan will come up. That's why this transitional philosophy equally important, even most important. Now, I'm taking you to the most important third category, non-dual, non-dualistic, Aved, Advait, Bhairavagamas. That is the subject of Kashmir Shaivism. Bhairavagamas, we call it. Saivagmas, 10 in nature, 10 in number. Rudragmas, 18 in number. Bhairavagmas, 64 in number. So what is the meaning of Aved? Aved is no difference. No difference between Jiva and Shiva. It's a complete unity. It's an absolute non-duality. There is only Shiva here. In Bhairavagmas, in Kashmir Shaivism, there is one subject. There is nothing. Everything is object there. There is one subject. That subject is Shiva. So everything else is the manifestation of Shiva. So these are 64 in number, as I told you, and these texts are especially important for the Kashmir Shaivism. This is the Kashmir Shaivism. So Bhairavagmas, they are saying the individual soul is not different from the Shiva. Bondage occurs because we forget our true nature. That is the only cause of bondage. And how liberation will happen? When we recognize ourselves, the Prativigya will come up. Rather than becoming something new, do the practice and become something new. No, no, no. You have to do nothing. You have to just recognize yourself. Recognize yourself. I just gave you example of the glass. And now I'm giving you example of the necklace. Huh? So if you are searching necklace everywhere, and after a long search, you're searching everywhere in your house, you discover it was already in your neck. There. It is happening, in a day-to-day life, it is happening. So nothing new found. The only recognition that has occurred. So similarly, the soul is searching everywhere. Where is Shiva? Where is Shiva? Where it is on the Kailas or in Kasi or in Ujjain. But when soul realizes, I have always been Shiva, that is the recognition, that is the Prativikya, that is the teaching. So, the Bhairavagmas become the primary scriptural basis for the Prativikya philosophy, for the Spanda doctrine, for the whole Trika system in general. And the most major thinkers of Kashmir Shaivism in our Guru Parampara, such as Vasugupta Acharya, Mahaguru, Utpal Devacharya, Abhinav Gupta, they came and they developed this philosophy, you know. from the non-dual scriptures. So they gave us non-dual scriptures, those gurus. So I'm just concluding these three: Bheda, dualistic; Saiva Agamas, 10 in number; viewpoint, Jiva and Siva are distinct. Emphasis is on ritual, devotion, and grace. Then Veda Ved, monodualistic. Text, Rudragmas, 18 in number. Here main viewpoint is soul is different, yet inseparable. Soul is different. My soul is different, and I will go and Samavis will happen in Shiva. It means it's a monodualistic, because Shiva is also there. Sometimes feeling of Shiva, sometimes feeling of Jiva. That is Veda Ved. Here the main emphasis is on the yoga, meditation, and transition. Now the dualistic. These are the Bhairavagmas, 64 in number. Here soul and Shiva, no difference, identical. A main emphasis is on the recognition, prativigya. Main emphasis is on the consciousness. That's why Kasmir Shaivism is the study of consciousness. That is the study of consciousness. But always remember one thing. Gurudev is always saying, that's very important to remember today and every day. These categories should not be seen as a contradictory, but as a progressive level of a spiritual understanding. Don't think that dualistic is inferior. Don't think non-dualistic is the superior. These are the progressive level of spiritual understanding. That is the announcement of our beloved Gurudev. So the way you are thinking, non-dualistic is the superior and dualistic is inferior, it means prativigya is not happening. There is a mala. So don't think like that. These are the labels, progressive labels. So this classification matters, basically, because it helps us to understand the intellectual richness of the Kashmir Shaivism. And it demonstrates that Shaivism accommodates different spiritual temperaments. That's why Shaivism is so popular. And that's why Mahadev, Mahakal, the Bhairav is so popular deity. Because it has capacity to accommodate different spiritual temperaments. Some devotee approaches Shiva through the ritual devotion in the temple. He is also right. Other emphasis on the meditation and yoga, doing nothing, no ritual at all. He is also right. He is on the Sankar mark. And still others seek direct realization, non-dual, prativigya, jnana mark. He is also right. So all paths, all roads are going to Shiva. Thus, the Agamas provide a complete spiritual path for the seekers at different stages. That is the beauty. So, in conclusion, the classification of these Agamas is not merely a textual arrangement. That's very important. It represents the progressive unfolding of the Shaiva philosophy. The devotion and ritual, from the devotion and the ritual, through the meditation and contemplation, to the highest realization of the non-dual identity of the individual Shiva. That is the Shaivism. That is the beauty of Shaivism. So I'm just, I will focus on importance of Bhairav Agmas in the next class. Otherwise, it will, become more lengthy. So I'm closing this one with a Bhairavastava of Mahamaheshwaracharya from our Guru Parampara. Let's go down. तथा भैरवस्तवः व्याप्त चराचर भाव विशेषम क्षीणमयमेकमनन्तमनादिम् भैरवनाथमनाथ शरण्यम् तन्मयचित्ततया हृदयवन्दे तन्मयमेतदशेषमिदानीम् आतिमं त्वमनुग्रहसख्या त्वं च महेश सदैव ममात्मा स्वात्मयं मम तेन समस्तम् स्वात्मनि विस्वगते त्वयि नाथे तेन न संसृतिभीतिकथास्ति ततस्वपि दुर्धर दुःख विमोहा त्रास विद्यायसु कर्म गणेषु हन्तक मां प्रतिमादृशमेन क्रोध कराल समाविनिधि शंकर सेवन चिंतन धीरो भीषण भैरव शक्तिमयोस्मि हुतस्मु बोधव भवमय सन्तु विकारुकधूरितमिश्र मृत्युयमान्तक कर्म पिशाचर नाथ नमस्तु न जातु विभेमि प्रोषित सत्य विबोध मरीचि प्रोषित विश्व पदार्थ सतत्व भाव परामृत निर्भर पूर्ण समात्मति निर्मिति में संत मानस गोचर में यदैव क्लेश दशातनुताप विधात्री नाथ तदैव मम त्वयि भेद स्तोत्र परामृत पृष्टिरुदेति शंकर सत्यमिदं व्रतदान दान तपो भवताप विधारी शास्त्र परामृत चिंता यस्यन्ति चेत्सि निर्मिति धारा नृत्यति गायति हृत्यति गाढम् संविधियं मम भैरवनाथ त्वां प्रियमाप्य सुदर्शनमेकं दुर्लभमन्यजनैः समज्ञम् वसुरूपस्य कृष्णदशाम्याम् अभिनवगुप्तहास्तवं निं करो येन विबुध भव मरु संतापम मनयति झटयति जनस्य दयालुः इति भारवस्तवः जय गुरुदेव हर हर महादेव. So with this I'm closing today's memorial lecture. If any fault, anything happening, that is my responsibility. Any good thing is coming, that is blessings of Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.